welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're plunging into a pretty interesting strategic presentation. It's from June 2025, and it's titled Redefining Our Lane, Why the Future Demands We Lead in Tech.
Right. And this document, it takes a really hard look at the future for organizations like broker listing cooperatives, BLCs, as people often call them, and associations.
One's to serving real estate professionals, yeah. And it asks some, pretty challenging questions about their place in a world just flooded with new tech.
That's absolutely right. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is to unpack the core arguments this presentation is making. We need to look at the risks it identifies, the opportunities it highlights,
And the significant challenges it puts on the table. It's all about the future direction of these key industry organizations.
Exactly. And the central question the source really forces you to consider, especially if you're navigating this space, it's fundamental.
It boils down to this, doesn't it? If the main job of a BLC or association is still basically data entry and like a simple search engine, are they genuinely setting their members up for future success? Or are they just kind of maintaining a status quo from years ago?
That's the core of it. And that's why understanding this document is so crucial right now, to help cut through all the noise and confusion around change.
It definitely gets right to the point on that. The presentation immediately challenges that comfortable idea of just staying in your lane.
Yeah, that traditional lane for these organizations.
So the notion that BLCs and associations should just, stick to collecting listing data and providing basic access?
Precisely. The source argues that this traditional concept, it's rapidly becoming obsolete.
Because technology has just fundamentally shifted things.
Totally. It's not just some minor competitive edge anymore, that one brokerage might have over another. The presentation argues that providing access to essential, effective technology is now table stakes.
Table stakes, meaning if you don't offer it, you're not really even in the game anymore.
You got it. So the presentation must lay out the consequences, right? The risks of trying to stay in that old, narrow lane.
Okay, so what risks does it identify?
It outlines two big ones. The first is, frankly, irrelevance.
Irrelevance.
Yeah. If BLCs and associations don't equip their members with the cutting-edge tools they need and increasingly expect, those members will absolutely find them somewhere else.
Makes sense. They'll go to the national portals or the big tech companies.
Or even nimble AI startups building new tools. And when members start relying on these external providers for their core tech, the value proposition of the traditional organization just erodes dramatically.
And once that value erodes, membership and participation become vulnerable. What's the second risk it highlights?
Losing control over the destiny of their data.
The data aspect. Crucial.
Absolutely. The source emphasizes that the collective data these organizations hold is arguably their most valuable asset. Now, if they aren't the ones innovating with that data, using it to build new services, new insights,
Others will step in.
Exactly. Others will. And there's absolutely no guarantee those third parties will act in the best interests of the BLCs or associations members when they decide how to use or, monetize that shared asset.
So it's not just about failing to keep up. It's about actively losing ground and losing control.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative path the source is proposing? Getting out of that lane.
The vision it puts forward is quite transformative, really. It suggests the BLC and the association should become the primary enablers of technological excellence for all their members.
Primary enablers.
Yeah.
So they become the central hub for tech, not just a basic utility provider.
Precisely. The goal is for them to be the trusted curators and providers of best-in-class AI and technology tools.
And not just any random tools, right?
No. These would be vetted, properly integrated into members' workflows, and specifically designed to enhance agent productivity, professionalism, and ultimately profitability.
Okay.
The presentation is very clear. Providing these essential table stakes is no longer optional. It's a core responsibility they really must take on.
All right, okay. This is where it gets really interesting then. If they actually embrace this new role, what are the specific opportunities the source sees opening up for the BLC, especially powered by AI?
Well, a major opportunity is transforming their vast data repositories, moving them from just passive storage into a dynamic strategic asset.
So less like a warehouse for data and more like an engine generating actionable intelligence from it.
You've nailed it. It's about moving way beyond simply listing properties. The source gives examples like AI analyzing patterns across all this collective data patterns humans or traditional methods might just miss entirely.
What kind of patterns?
Things like uncovering hidden market opportunities, maybe specific property features that are suddenly driving premiums in certain neighborhoods, or figuring out the absolute optimal timing to list different types of properties for the best possible outcome.
There really is a shift, isn't it? Moving from just looking backward at past sales data to actually developing forward-looking insights.
It is. The document uses that metaphor, moving from a rear-view mirror perspective to providing more of a crystal ball.
That's a powerful way to put it.
And the potential here is huge. The BLC could become the definitive source for foresight. Imagine AI-generated hyperlocal trend forecasts, not just the broad market stuff we see now.
Okay, yeah.
Or dynamic pricing models that react in real time to subtle market shifts. The source even suggests identifying neighborhoods on the cusp of significant appreciation before that trend becomes widely known.
Wow. That level of predictive insight coming from their unique data, that could be a massive value driver for members.
Absolutely massive. But stepping into that AI-powered lane, it must come with significant challenges too. What are the major guardrails or, obstacles the source points out for the BLC?
Yeah, it can't all be smooth sailing.
Definitely not. Data governance and security are paramount in this kind of AI-driven future. The document really stresses the need for robust privacy protection.
Makes sense.
And implementing safeguards against potential biases creeping into the AI outputs. Securing systems against new AI-specific cyber threats. And, critically, clarifying the ownership and rights around the valuable insights that the AI generates from that collective data.
So figuring out who owns the output.
Exactly. Establishing a proactive governance framework isn't just nice to have, it's foundational.
And what about accountability? If an AI tool provides faulty information or guidance, how does that work? Who's responsible?
That's another critical point the source raises, explainability and accountability. If an AI insight or recommendation turns out to be flawed, how do you trace it back? How do you explain its origin? And how do you assign responsibility?
Tricky question.
Very. The presentation also highlights the risk of becoming too reliant on third-party AI vendors. How does the BLC avoid getting so dependent on external providers that they basically lose control over their own tech destiny and, maybe more importantly, their data?
Right. Okay, let's pivot then. What about the association side? What opportunities does the source see for associations leveraging AI?
Okay, for associations, the focus shifts a bit more towards empowering the individual professional member. A key opportunity is really future-proofing members by taking the lead in AI literacy and, crucially, ethical application.
So educating and guiding members on how to use AI effectively, but also responsibly.
Precisely. The association becomes the essential guide in this new tech landscape. The source gives some concrete examples here.
Like what?
Like developing an AI in a real estate certification program, offering hands-on workshops focusing on specific AI productivity tools people can use day to day, and establishing really clear ethical frameworks for using AI in client interactions, ensuring trust and professionalism are front and center.
That makes a lot of sense. It also talks about fostering a tech-forward culture within the membership, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Creating an environment where embracing new tech like AI isn't seen as some optional add-on, but as integral to professional excellence and, importantly, ethical practice.
How they do that?
Well, the ideas include things like facilitating AI think tanks or maybe peer advisory groups where members can share experiences, share best practices. The association then curates and disseminates these validated strategies widely.
So everyone benefits, not just the early adopters.
Exactly, ensuring the knowledge benefits the entire membership base.
Okay, so just like the BLC, the association surely faces significant challenges on this path too. What are the AI roadblocks it needs to navigate, according to the source?
A major one it flags is addressing the potential AI great divide.
The gap between the tech-savvy and everyone else.
Right. How do you prevent a situation where some members surge ahead with AI tools while others feel left behind, maybe intimidated? The source emphasizes that programs and resources have to be designed to be accessible. They need to provide foundational AI literacy for all members.
Yeah, ensuring the benefits of AI adoption are inclusive. That feels like a very real risk, creating more inequality within the membership based on tech adoption.
It absolutely is. And another significant challenge involves navigating the whole landscape of misinformation and maintaining professional standards.
No, so.
Well, AI can sometimes perpetuate biases that are already present in the data it's trained on if it's not managed very carefully. And then there's the rise of convincing AI-generated fake content, deepfakes, things like that.
Which could really damage trust in real estate.
Exactly. It poses a direct threat to the trust and credibility that are essential in this business. The presentation argues the association must lead in establishing clear principles for ethical AI use and proactively equip members to uphold professional standards when they're faced with this complex new information environment.
Okay, this deep dive into the source material, it really forces some serious strategic thinking. The presentation actually includes a section specifically titled Fuel for Thought, posing questions for the road ahead.
Yeah, some really provocative ones.
What are some of the standouts?
Well, one that definitely jumps out is the question of what sacred cows these organizations must be willing to sacrifice if they genuinely want to thrive in this new era.
Sacred cows.
I mean, like,
What?
the source suggests this could involve rethinking traditional service models, maybe challenging existing budget allocations, or even moving past the fear of, potentially upsetting a few established players or entrenched structures within the industry.
That's a pretty direct challenge to long-standing ways of doing things.
It really is. Another piercing question targets the very core value proposition of the BLC itself.
Go on.
It asks, if sophisticated AI tools become widely and easily accessible through other channels, maybe directly from tech companies, how does the BLC justify its continued value and, importantly, its fees if it's not the primary provider of integrated industry-specific AI solutions and those unique insights derived from its exclusive data asset?
That question ties directly back to that risk of irrelevance we talked about right at the start.
Exactly. And then there's a fundamental question about who the real future competitors actually are. Is it still just, other BLCs or regional rivals down the road? Or are the more significant threats potentially these AI-first tech companies, the ones that could use data and superior tools to effectively marginalize traditional organizations if they don't lead the technological charge themselves?
So shifting the competitive landscape away from traditional peers towards disruptive new tech players.
Precisely. And finally, the source asks how AI can be strategically leveraged not just to improve existing services, but to create entirely new revenue streams. And, crucially, how it can demonstrably enhance the value that members receive.
Making it undeniable.
Yeah. The goal is to make continued investment in the BLC or the association an undeniable competitive advantage for every single member.
It really sounds like this document isn't just a gentle suggestion. It's more like a stark call to action. What's the ultimate conclusion it draws?
Well, the presentation concludes by framing the future as a pretty clear choice, with really only one viable path forward. It states, quite unequivocally, that the BLC and the association must be the drivers of this technological change.
They have to lead it.
They have to lead it. This requires actively redefining their traditional lane, fully embracing the potential of AI, and stepping up to unequivocally lead their members into a future that the source presents as being more powerful, more productive, and ultimately more profitable for everyone involved.
And the final takeaway.
The final imperative from the source is direct and, frankly, urgent. It's time to put the pedal down and switch lanes.
Put the pedal down and switch lanes. That certainly paints a vivid picture of the urgency. Okay, based on the strategic presentation and the challenges it lays out, here's one final thought for you to consider as you navigate these technological shifts in your own professional sphere.
Reflect on one of those provocative questions the source raised. Maybe that idea of what sacred cows might need to be reevaluated in your own context. Or perhaps reconsidering who your most significant future competitors might truly be in an AI-accelerated world. What does this whole strategic challenge really mean for your adaptability going forward?